the stream setups. It's going to be just like the normal Leo Power Update. Like you stake some Leo and then you participate to earn some prizes. You show your support to the community, how bullish you are in the long term with Leo, etc. But also as well, since it's the last Leo Power Update of the year, there is a special event where if you power up, can't remember, I think it's 15%. If you power up at least 15% of your current stake, then you're eligible. Well, not eligible. You all like automatically earn 5,000 Leo power delegation. So the only rule is power up at least 15% of your existing stake, and you will get a 5,000 power Leo power delegation. And if you have less than 1,500 Leo power, then you have to reach 1,500 to get that delegation. So it's basically a guaranteed delegation just by showing your support or signaling your support. Of course, it's harder for the whales. For example, Carl's not going to be able to power up 15% of his stake, or maybe this is a challenge.
I don't know. Maybe. Might surprise you.
Yeah, but like, for example, for me, I have 150,000. I would have to power up 22,000, 22.5 thousand Leo, which is, I mean, it's a big signal from everyone joining that, hey, you know what? I want to close the year with a banger. I want to show my support. I want to signal that I am a long-term believer or subscriber or degen about the LeoVerse and the Leo token in Leo, the platform, everything Leo related. So it's gonna be a good one.
100%. 100%.
And we already have the threadcast up. For people who are not ex-friends or are not big fans of tuning in, you can also watch on YouTube. I don't know, Carl, do we have a next stream? Are we gonna have a next stream? I think I saw one a couple of
X
weeks
stream.
ago. Yeah, well, probably not. I don't know.
We used to. I think they changed the way they allow streaming. So I got to figure out how to get that back.
Oh, we are
Oh
streaming
wait, no,
actually.
no, I actually lied. Yeah, it's already fixed. It's on
Nice.
the INLEO account.
Oh, okay, yeah, of course.
So
Perfect.
yeah, there is a stream there. So we're on X live stream, we're on X Spaces, we're on YouTube Live, and then the Threadcast, and then we're also recording video, audio, and the Threadcast. So we've got all of the things going, and I'm noticing that that Threadcast doesn't seem to be updating. So we might need to repost this because I kind of posted at a weird time. Which will also lead me into some updates. But let me repost this threadcast.
Give us all the updates. In the meantime, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about how crypto in general just puked 10% of the gains that we had over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just dealing with this threadcast. It's interesting because we gave up some of the gains, but I mean, we had an epic run for a lot of different cryptos, mostly Bitcoin. There were a few alts have been starting to kind of get some gains. But in reality, those alts are just kind of gaining back from that like bottom, like, they lost 99% of their value, and they're starting to kind of regain like a more normal market price. So I think what we're starting to see is that kind of return to normal for some of these altcoins that were like super oversold. And Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin's kind of leading the pack because of all the ETF stuff. But yeah, I mean, we did see a small dip. I think a lot of it has to do with the news from Elizabeth Warren. She put out some request for a bill to kind of crack down on Bitcoin and crypto. So, I never really take that stuff super seriously. That happens every single cycle. You see some sort of negative regulation news related to Bitcoin and crypto. And it's never really like a serious threat, in my opinion. You know, if it was a serious threat, then Bitcoin would not be doing what it was created to do, which is to resist, you know, to resist centralized regulation. And you know, I've looked at a lot of different statistics related to, you know, trading of Bitcoin and crypto, and one of the key ones that sticks out to me is that America, you know, the United States continues to lose market share in terms of crypto trading activity. So, you know, and I see the Threadcast is back. So, you know, we continue to see a loss of, you know, activity in the United States for people, you know, trading crypto, and that ultimately is a good thing, because you're seeing less centralization of the power. You know, the US has never been super crypto friendly. I do think that they're starting to get more crypto friendly, especially with the ETF stuff. I think that's just going to continue, you know, the way the innovation cycle works. It's, you know, it's going to continue to get more and more adopted. And as you have, you know, the TradFi players, like the biggest ones like BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK, and others kind of getting involved in crypto, you're just going to see it mature more and more. And you're already seeing people in the government that are more apt to, you know, be positive towards crypto. So ultimately, I don't see regulation as a threat, but I know that that's going to continue to be this kind of key driver in dips, is that you're going to see some piece of negative news come out, and then, you know, from there, you know, we might see a little dip, but then ultimately, you know, people get over it and people move on. So long story short, I'm not worried about any dips. I mean, we're still over 40K, which last week we were under 40K, and everyone was like, oh, how crazy would it be if we hit 40K? So, you know, then you hit 44K, people have very short-term memories, and then they're like, and then drops to 41, I think we're at now. And they're like, you know, oh, we had this huge dip in crypto, but it's like, you know, we're actually still up week to week. But yeah, I was talking to somebody yesterday about, you know, investing in general. And one thing that a lot of people do, in not just in crypto, but in all markets, is that everyone thinks that trading is the way to get rich. And I can assure you that it is not. The majority of traders are lucky to break even. And I would say most of them lose money. And then you've got a small subset of people who make money. It is very similar to gambling for a lot of different reasons. And this is what we were talking about, because, you know, the way that the markets work, there are big participants, there's small participants, you've got retail mixed in, and you've got people who are making those markets. So you have to look at it this way, that, you know, there is a house out there. So if you're familiar with gambling, you know, when you go to a casino, the house is the casino, and they charge, you know, they have like a rake on every pot, and, you know, they have an edge built into every single game. So, you know, the casino is designed to statistically win money over time. So no matter how many times you play, you are statistically outfavored by the house. So for some reason, people think that financial markets are any different, but they're not. They're exactly the same. You just have market makers and, you know, hedge funds, and then you've got the exchanges themselves that are all the house. You know, they're all collecting their fees, whether they're upfront about it or hidden in the back end. There's fees being collected. And we saw this with Robinhood. You know, people looked at Robinhood and they were like, oh, this is a feeless, free transaction platform. But there's always a caveat to it. And with Robinhood, you saw the caveat was, you know, they were doing order flow sales. So they were selling, you know, the data from trades to companies that would then, you know, trade on that data and have high frequency trading, so that, let's say that you buy, you know, a share of Apple stock, you know, in the milliseconds before your trade goes through, they have sent that order flow to, you know, a big fund like Citadel that would then, you know, market make that transaction and take a little bit of money off the table from you. So that money comes from somewhere. It comes from you, and it goes into their pocket, and it's in the tune of like cents, fractions of pennies. So it's something that you wouldn't even notice. But the fact of it happening, you know, billions of times a week is where their money gets made. So, my long point here is that when it comes to markets, I think you should look long term. I've never been much of a short term person where I'm like looking at Bitcoin and I'm like, oh yeah, it's 40K. I'm going to sell some here. It's not like that for me. It's more of I talk a lot about dollar cost averaging, and that goes for both getting in and getting out. So, once we hit a certain target price of Bitcoin for me, that's when I start to sell. And I don't just sell all at once. I sell very small amounts, say 1% of my Bitcoin every single day after we get to that price. So, long term in, long term out, and you got to buy things. At Warren Buffett, I think is credited with this quote. But if you wouldn't hold it for 10 minutes, you shouldn't hold it. Or if you wouldn't hold it for 10 years, you shouldn't hold it for 10 minutes. Head it backwards. So you got to find things that you're willing to hold for 10 years, and if you do that, then you're going to be fine. You do your research. You say, okay, I like this for 10 years. Buy it. Wait. If it goes sideways on you in the short term, you still should be confident in the long term. And that's how I feel about all this stuff. So I actually bought Bitcoin yesterday at, I think I got filled at like 40,600. I had a limit order in there. So, I keep dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, even at these prices. I'm very, very bullish on where we're going to be in the next, 6 to 18 months in terms of Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market. So, so this dip does not bother me at all. How do you feel about the dip, Eric?
I keep calling it. So as you know, I have a vault with Bitcoin. I don't have a lot, and I use that, like all of the monthly revenue that I get from different places. I buy Bitcoin and I take a loan against it with DAI, and I keep calling it because I'm always around 230% of my collateral. So that means that if Bitcoin drops like 15% or something like that, I get liquidated. So whenever I see these moves, or whenever I see that the market gets like a little bit stagnant, I take a few DAI out, and I called it because I left my vault to be liquidated at 39,900, and I said it's going to be incredibly hard to go lower than 40. And I mean, it was very close, but I didn't get liquidated. So I was expecting this, but honestly, and this is ultra bullish, I wasn't expecting the dip to be gobbled so fast. Of course, we're not back at 44, but we're already fighting resistance at 42, which is like what the more these dips get bought back faster, that signals that the bull run is actually very close to us. So I don't know. I dropped an image in the threadcast, and it's pretty fun to see the top Bitcoin holders. So the US government is at top 4. We have Grayscale, we have Binance, obviously we have Satoshi with 1.1 million BTC at the top. Bitfinex, the China government, MicroStrategy with Michael Saylor, Robinhood, which is a very not surprising, but I don't really like that to see that. But in general, we can see that the institutions are doubling down on this brownie point internet money. And I mean, it's just it would be dumb. This is not financial advice, but it would be dumb to not dollar cost average even at these prices, because the upside is just probably limitless.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of people are looking for like a signal that we're entering the super cycle for Bitcoin. People have said that every single cycle, that this might be the super cycle for Bitcoin. And basically in simple terms, what the super cycle means is that Bitcoin goes only up. So it becomes more like gold. The big drawdowns are over. It's just, Bitcoin reaches some high valuation, a couple $1 trillion in market cap. And then, we don't see those big 10% drops just randomly. Personally, I still think that's relatively far off. That being said, it can happen at any time, but we're going to need a much larger market cap for that to happen. We're going to need a lot more players. We're going to need a much different capital makeup too. Bitcoin is largely driven by retail still. And retail are fickle creatures, so you don't have like these huge funds that own massive quantities of Bitcoin. And Eric just listed off some of the biggest owners of Bitcoin, and you can see that kind of play out. There's only like maybe 10 big players, and then the rest of them are kind of small. And then you've obviously got retail. So, until we start seeing these, trillion-dollar funds like BlackRock owning, ridiculous amounts of Bitcoin, I don't think the super cycle is here yet, where we're going to see these, very muted drawdowns. And when you get the muted drawdowns, you also get the muted runs. So, Bitcoin is up, I don't even know, like 3x on the year or something. So, when we get to this super cycle point, we're not going to be seeing Bitcoin go up, 3, 5, 10x in cycles. You're going to be seeing it go up like more like gold, where it goes up, 5, 10, 20%, which is still great, but it's just a much different environment than what we have right now. And we're not there yet. We're still far from that, in my opinion. But, and this kind of foreshadows tomorrow. We've got the Chain Chatter episode tomorrow at noon Eastern. We've got a couple founders coming on, and we're going to be talking about, how to use the crypto cycles to build a runway, to build your project. And that conversation is going to have a lot to do with, the different cycles of Bitcoin and crypto and how it all works, because we do play into these very large cycles where you see things go up a lot, but then you see them draw down a lot. And, if you play it right, if you dollar cost average, in my opinion, that's how I do it. You dollar cost average when things are bad, so in the bear market, and then when things are good, you dollar cost average out. That's a great way to build a runway. That's what I've done the last 4 cycles now. We're using the Threadcast right now. It's how all of this stuff exists. Without the cycles, it wouldn't exist. Without me dollar cost averaging into crypto and then dollar cost averaging out and kind of playing those cycles, we wouldn't have the funding to build all this stuff. So it's very powerful if you apply it. And in my opinion, and this is what probably going to be the most commonly asked question over the next couple of months until Bitcoin starts to just really explode. And then it'll still probably be a commonly asked question. Is it too late to get into crypto, or Bitcoin or altcoins or whatever? I was just talking to somebody about that last weekend, and it's not too late. I mean, you can still, even at these prices, you can still get in, you can still get exposure. But my advice and how I would approach it would be a lot different now than it would be, 12 months ago when Bitcoin was at 20K. The approach is just a little bit different, but it's still very similar. And that is, dollar cost average slowly, pick a total dollar amount, say $10,000 or $1,000 or whatever, and divide that by some amount of time. I like to recommend somewhere between like 3 and 12 months. So take your total figure, let's just say $10,000, and then divide it by, let's just say 6 months. So now, and then pick a period of which to buy over. So like, let's say weekly, so you've got 6 months weekly, that's like 26 weeks. So, take your $10,000, divide it by 26, and then every week buy with that specific amount, no matter what the price is. So if it's 40K today, you buy it, and you're buying it every Tuesday, you buy your 126th amount today. And then next Tuesday, you do the same thing, regardless if it's 50K or 20K. You buy the same amount, you just do it. And if you keep doing that consistently over a long period of time, you'll do well. As long as you, like I said, are holding an asset that you want to hold for 10 years. If you're doing it in an asset that you don't want to hold for 10 years, then you shouldn't hold it at all. That's just my opinion. Go pick something else that you're more comfortable holding. Pick Apple, pick Tesla, pick an index fund, pick something that you're willing to hold for 10 years, or don't invest in it at all. That's my philosophy. That's why the assets that I hold are pretty limited. I don't have like this, and this was my mistake in the first cycle that I was ever in, or maybe first or second cycle I was ever in. Altcoins had kind of exploded. We saw like a lot of different altcoins start to come about. And I slowly took my portfolio out of Bitcoin. I moved a lot into Ethereum, and then all the different altcoins launched on Ethereum, and I started moving it into, you know, ICOs and all these different altcoins and all these different strategies and projects. And at one point, I probably had like 50 different cryptocurrencies that I was holding. And I did really well. Don't get me wrong, because, you know, I got lucky because the whole cycle just dumped money from Bitcoin into altcoins. And then I was able to sell a lot of those altcoins. But the strategy is much different now. The market is a lot different now. It's a lot more mature. Holding 50 altcoins makes absolutely no sense to me anymore. There was no way I could keep up with what each of those projects was doing. And I would say probably 40 out of those 50 don't even exist anymore. So you got to be vigilant. You got to do your research. And in my opinion, you have to keep it, you know, another Warren Buffett quote, you know, put all your eggs in one basket and then watch it closely. You know, I do think that's a much better strategy than just diversification for the sake of diversification. So there's a time and a place for that, but in my opinion, that time and place is not by buying a bunch of different altcoins. You got to remember that crypto still moves in lockstep. So, you know, Bitcoin goes up, altcoins go up too. That's just how the market is at the current stage.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit different, but I'm like, you also have to take into account what's your position in terms of wealth generation. For example, if you want to preserve wealth, if you want to generate wealth, if you want to get out of poverty, whatever. So I'm at a stage where I can gamble a little. I want to gamble a little bit more, but that's just because I am not in a position yet to just preserve the wealth or just grow a little bit every cycle. So, for example, to me, I have around 50% of my portfolio in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Then I have like 30% on Hive, Rune, and Cacao. But I am having 20% of that ready in altcoin in stable coins, and I'm just ready to, let's just say I have $10. I'm ready to put $1 on on each like 10. I will pick 10 coins, 10 pretty much shit coins, and I will pick 10 of them and I will put $1 on each. And if one of them goes 100x, then I will move back to the more stable ones like Hive or Rune or Cacao or Leo, in the sense that I have 20% of that is just for gambling. But obviously depends a lot on what you want to do with that money. What do you want that money to do for you? So, but yeah, I mean, diversifying that much is never a good strategy unless you have either nothing to lose or a lot to gamble with. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to play the market, you know, you have to determine where you're at, where you want to be, and the best way to get there. A lot of people just start buying stuff and don't really put a lot of thought into it. But yeah, finding freedom is right. He said, okay, guys, let's move on to INLEO stuff. So that is our market talk for the day. I'm sure we got a couple of good clips in there for, you know, TikTok and whatnot. So let's get into the INLEO stuff. So Eric mentioned that LPUD is only 3 days away. There's a big event. So remind me again, Eric. So you got to power up 15% of your current Leo Power stake. And then what are you eligible for if you do that?
Yeah, so you can power up 50 Leo or 150 Leo, and then you're eligible for the normal price, the normal incentives. But if you say, hey, I'm really bullish on Leo, I really want to signal long-term belief or a long-term commitment, whatever you want to call it, then you can power up 15, not 50, because some people in the threadcast are saying 50. 15 with an N at the end, 1-5. If you power up that amount of your staked Leo power, so if you have 10,000, you have to power up 1,500. If you do so, you automatically get a 5,000 Leo delegation from the team for 1 month. So it's pretty easy. You can either choose to just participate in the normal Leo Power Up Day, which is 50 or 150 Leo, and participate for the incentives, or power up 15% of your stake.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see the next 3 days of Leo buying activity. because 15% of your stake is not for some of us, it's not a small amount. So it's going to be interesting. And, obviously we've got a lot of things kind of heating up towards the end of this year. Leo ads contract just got released. So we've seen a little bump in the Leo price from that. And then obviously some big buy walls that have been getting built up from, both Leo ads, Leo premium, and then Leo.voter buying Leo on the internal market. So, things are looking pretty good. There's a lot of Leo getting bought back week to week. So definitely excited to see how this LPUD shapes up. So just to wrap it up, you can still get the normal, if you power up 50 or 150 Leo, you still are eligible for the normal prize pools that we have every month. But then there's an extra prize pool if you power up 15%, so 15% of your current Leo power, then you're eligible for an instant 5,000 Leo power delegation to everybody who does it. So you don't have to actually win that one. You just do it and you get it. So yeah, that's awesome. So last LPUD of the year of 2023, we're going to go out with a bang. And speaking of which, we've had a lot of UI issues the past couple of weeks, and I know you guys are aware of them. It's been a mixture of, Hive engine nodes were having issues, Hive nodes were having issues, and then Leo has grown a lot. We're seeing a lot more threads. Obviously, the Zeely campaign went live, which always brings a lot more activity to the platform. But and we'll get into this because we got Eric here today, the monthly active user data, but we're hitting a new record for monthly active users. So we're seeing a lot of activity increasing, alongside some, obviously chain related issues, and then our own backend issues. So we've just seen a lot of different issues lately. But to combat all of that, we've been doing a lot of backend updates, and that's part of the reason why we've been so quiet. If you've been wondering why we've been quiet on the update front, you haven't really seen a lot of shiny new features on the front end lately in the past 2 weeks, and that's related to us just really hammering in on the back end, working on scalability, working on a lot of our own infrastructure. So the Leo node infrastructure that we're building is coming along really nicely. And alongside that, we've been doing a lot of other stuff. So a lot of updates to Leo Infra, which is the social login protocol. A lot of updates to Leo Cache, which is what allows threads to be quick, fast. You see your threads instantly. You're able to upvote instantly. There's no delays. That's all related to Leo Cache. And then obviously you've got all the search functionalities. All of that stuff is related to Leo Cache. And then you've got a new protocol that we just launched, kind of silently launched it over the weekend, that we've been working on. It's called Leo Images. So some of you have noticed there's like issues with your, avatar images. Like I'm seeing a lot of people in the Threadcast right now with blank avatars. You've probably noticed issues with like uploading images to your posts, and it really uploading images anywhere has had some issues. A big reason for that is related to Hive.blog images, which we used to use to host some of our images, and then we also used to use Imgur to host images as well. And Leo Images is something I wanted to build down the line because it's more scalable. The image size is actually 1/10 the size of images on Hive.blog. So if you upload, let's just say you upload a image that's 50 megabytes on Hive.blog, that same image would be 5 megabytes on Leo Images. And that's just how we built the, compression engine and the formatting. So Leo Images it fits with the current standards, which are new standards on the internet in terms of image uploading and image compression. So it also makes us more SEO friendly. Search engines like that we're more efficient with the images. Pages will load faster because images are more images are smaller, so they load a lot faster. And that goes for profile images, community images, post images, images uploaded in threads. Like when you load the UI, you see that there's so many images everywhere. So we're going to see Leo Images really have an impact on speed. Some of you guys have probably already noticed some of that impact. And again, if your avatar picture or post pictures are not loading correctly, re-upload them, and you'll see that they go to a new link, which is inleo.io/leoimages. So that will improve everything in the long run. It was a little bit difficult to build, and like I said, it was something that I wanted to do down the line, but then we were kind of forced, our hand got forced to do it. Similarly, with Leo Node and other infrastructure that we've had to work on. So, as we scale and as there's, potentially issues with other infrastructure related things that we don't have control over, we kind of have to like spend a lot of time building the back end and making it more robust. And, that's not easy. It's very time consuming, and it's also not shiny. It doesn't give you guys shiny new features on the front end to get excited about. So, it's not super exciting for anybody. But in the long run, it has to be done. We need a good user experience. And hopefully you guys see that it continues to improve and get better. It's like I said, it's not easy at all, very resource intensive. But ultimately it has to get done to go where we want to go, which is, get to 5,000 monthly active users, get to 10,000 monthly active users, 20,000, 100,000, a million monthly active users. This is going to be a process to get there.
Yeah, and I mean, it just makes sense. Anyone who wants a seamless user experience, they can just go to centralized entities. If you want to be in Web3 within a project that is on the bleeding edge of technology, always testing, always putting out new features, like we put out probably like 2 or 3 features every week. So we are bound to have some bugs. So thank you all for sticking with us, and at the same time promoting INLEO, and also just understanding that 80 feature that we put it out on labs.inleo.io for people to test it, for the team to check if there's anything wrong with it. But in the end, we also need you to help us find these bugs, because sometimes it's operating system based, or maybe you have a firewall, or maybe you have ad blocker that messes with the code, etc. So anytime that you're experiencing anything bug related, just open a ticket or make a thread with the feedback hashtag, and we will see it. I was gonna ask you, Carl. So there's the so finding freedom asked in the comment section in the threadcast. Are you guys blocking accounts from posting and interacting that are suspected of being bots?
Not unless they are, say, posting malicious content in some form. If it just looks like a bot and it's just saying, random stupid stuff, then, nothing happens. But if it's like, some sort of bot that's like saying, click here to get 10 Bitcoin, we see a lot of those scams on X, and they still haven't figured out how to combat it. But we do mute it from the UI. And this brings in a broader point, which I think is it's not a huge conversation now because we're still so small, but in the future, it's going to become more of a conversation, which is, how do we handle content moderation, being that we're a Web3 platform, being that we're, free speech friendly, we're not a free speech platform, but we're free speech friendly, which I think is a key distinction. And if you look at the docs, and I've been spending a lot of time working on the INLEO docs, which is why it's very fresh on my mind. But one of the key points in the docs talks about digital identity ownership, and that's what we're all about. So on INLEO, everything's about, not being on rented space, and rented space is, being on X or being on Google or being on Facebook or Instagram. When you use those platforms, you're on rented space. At any time, the platform could tell you, screw off, get off our platform. We don't want you here. And they don't even need to give you a reason. They can just say you violated our terms of service, which is some 500-page document that nobody reads. So they have ultimate control and power over your content and your account. The difference with INLEO is that you own your account. You're using the INLEO platform, but you own the account that you're logging in with. So even if your content is moderated on INLEO, let's say that you post something malicious, you can still be seen on other platforms. So, on PeakD or Hive.blog, or if every front end were to mute you, you can still be seen on the Block Explorer. So you can still pull up your content on the Block Explorer. And let's say that you're somebody like, let's just say you're somebody that not nobody. Let's say that you're somebody that a lot of people dislike and they don't like what you say. They think you're a bad person. They think you're causing harm to society in some way. I think Alex Jones is probably a good example of this. Let's just say that that's you. Every front end could mute you and say, we don't want your bad content on our platform. We don't want you spreading negative messages and propaganda on here. That being said, Hive is a decentralized blockchain. All the stuff that you create is still on that blockchain. So either share it from the blockchain explorers directly, or you can even spin up your own UI. And there's plenty of free open source Hive-based UIs like Condenser and others, where you can spin up your own UI and you can show all your content. And that's Web3. It can't be your actual account cannot be taken away from you. So I think content moderation is not a huge conversation right now. And, if we do have bots and we do have the occasional, I'd say probably once a month, we have to like mute somebody off the UI because, they're posting, porn images or, something negative or, some scam link. I'd say that happens probably once a month right now. It's going to start to happen more frequently as we get more users. And we will mute those people from the UI. That being said, they still own their account. They can go to any other UI. And if every UI decides that they don't want them, they can spin up their own UI. And that is true Web3. So we are not a free speech platform, but we are a free speech friendly platform where you can own your identity. And by owning your identity, that means you can go somewhere else and all your content, all your followers, everything remains. So I think that is going to be a key conversation as more people join the platform. We all are existing Hivers. We're very familiar with how things work. I don't think it's a huge conversation right now, but it will be in the future. I see Mystakili and Taskmaster saying that replies aren't showing. So I noticed that you have to refresh and then give it like 2 minutes. Just leave the page open after you refresh the threadcast, and then they should start showing, and then they'll auto update. So I'm not sure what's going on. I pinged the devs, but it's looking like a Hive node issue, which again, Leo node will fix this, but we're not ready yet. So a lot of the backend stuff we're working on right now is going to fix a lot of these issues. So we're kind of fixing them one at a time. One of the devs is working on the Leo node infrastructure. That's not an easy thing to build. Eric and I actually were talking, I think a few weeks ago, about, we're building kind of our own protocol for a full Hive node, and there's certain things that are built into it that aren't built into normal Hive nodes, and a lot of it has to do with obviously threads and scalability in general. And our plan is to open source that software so that anybody can run a full Hive node using kind of the setup that we build. And I think when Leo hits 10,000, 100,000, a million, 10 million monthly active users, we're going to need other people running nodes. Where us running one node or even 5 nodes is not as good as, let's say that, the top 20 or 30, Leo power holders can all run a Leo node on Hive. So a full Hive node, but using the Leo architecture that supports INLEO specifically. So that will be, that will be important as we scale as well. But right now, if we have one Leo node with the new architecture we're building, we're going to be able to scale beyond, I think, 10,000 monthly active users without any problems. But right now, with about 2,000 monthly active users, we're really struggling with Hive nodes. We actually use every single Hive node right now. We split all of our requests across all the Hive nodes, which is all the major ones, at least, which is about 8 different nodes. So when you guys post threads or read threads or upvote, all those requests are getting split evenly between these 8 different nodes. And the reason why we have to do that is because we have so many requests. There's so much activity on INLEO, the nodes can't really handle it. So each node will rate block us. If we put it all into one node, they'll just rate limit us and then the site will go down. And that's why you guys have seen the site go down before. But by splitting it up, we're able to kind of segment our activity and stay alive. But we're kind of starting to hit that upper limit of even though we're splitting between 8 nodes, we're kind of hitting that limit. So Leo node will not have rate limiting, obviously, because we're only going to allow INLEO requests. We're not going to allow other front ends to tap into it. So it's going to be only INLEO requests, and it's going to be a lot more scalable than what's out there right now. So like I said, I think with one Leo node, we'll be able to get to 10,000 monthly active users with like the current, request amounts and the amount that we're, the amount of activity that we're pushing out. I think one Leo node will do just fine for a while. And then, like I said, hopefully some of you big Leo Power stakeholders will start to run nodes, and maybe we'll create some sort of rewards setup for it in the long run.
Yeah, this is not like for those who are not that tech savvy. This doesn't mean that we are filling up the blocks on the Hive blockchain. It just means that INLEO is asking so much requests from nodes at the same time that the nodes think that the Hive blockchain nodes are under attack. So they are like, oh no, these are too many requests, and they limit us, and then we have to move on to another node. So the perks of running our own node would be that any activity from INLEO would not be limited. But yeah, that's a big wink to you, Taskmaster, Addicted, One Alpha, and Coins, all of the big stakeholders. At one point, we will need you. So get ready.
Yeah, it's and Vagabond asked, are we going to see Leo witnesses in the future? I'm also thinking Leo block as well. Is it possible? Yeah, I mean, I think eventually we're going to have various things like that as things mature. We're definitely going to have Leo DAO and things like that as well. So that's kind of the future that we're headed towards. But right now we're still small. We're still building. We're in the initial, early phases of building things, and having kind of that singular driver is important at this stage. But as things mature and grow, it'll be important to have more decentralized control over these things. And that will just kind of slowly roll out as time goes on and the platform grows.
Yeah, but first we need to grow. So bring your friends, bring your grandma, bring your dog, make them sign up with Google or Twitter with Leo Infra. Like in 2 clicks, they have a Hive account, I mean Leo account. So it's very easy. Just bring them to the platform, show them how to make an account, send a few threads, get them hooked up with the goodies that the platform has. And in the end, right now, we are 1,452 people with at least 100 Leo. So we have a big, how would you call it? Like citizen class or citizen tier where all of these users with at least 100 Leo keep growing their stake. We have around 4,000 or something with something Leo, like some Leo. And out of those 1,400 holders, 1,200 are active on Hive. So that means that our stakeholders are active in the blockchain. They are not dead accounts. They are not inactive accounts. They didn't leave 3 years ago. The INLEO community, we are 1,750, the last record in monthly active users. And out of those 1,650, probably some of them overlap and they have some Leo. So they use the platform, but they also stake their Leo, and they also will earn a share of the ad revenue, which is how is ad revenue protocol going, Cal?
Yeah, it's going pretty well. So I think we're at like 5 weeks of buys now, and you'll see those buys slowly trickle into the at Leo ads account. I've seen a couple of people ask, is there some sort of fixed schedule to it? Can we check it on a certain day? And there is a randomizer function in that contract, and it's meant to be built so that it can withstand, people trying to front run buys. Because if it's on a exact programmatic schedule, you'd be able to say, okay, it buys at 10 p.m. Eastern every single Monday. So, I'm going to make the price of Leo really high on 10 p.m. Eastern every Monday, and then let Leo ads buy it from me and then sell immediately after. So there's a lot of ways to game it if you know exactly when the buys are going to happen. So even I don't know when they're going to happen. They just happen completely randomly. But you'll see the Leo amount in the @Leo ads account continue to grow. And then we're doing a few things to the distribution contract. So you guys probably have noticed that there hasn't been a Leo distribution to Leo Power holders yet. We need to do a couple updates to that, and then you'll see that first distribution go out. So just keep in mind that you have to be a Leo Power stakeholder, and you also have to be an active curator. So you can't just be sitting back and doing nothing and hold a bunch of Leo Power and then just get more Leo from the Leo ads contract. It requires some level of activity, and I'll let you guys guess why it requires that. There's a couple different reasons, but it requires you to be actually active on the platform. So you have to be active and you have to hold Leo Power. So your activity determines if you're eligible, and your Leo Power determines how much Leo you get. So just think of it that way. The activity gets you in the door. It's showing balloons for some reason. The activity gets you in the door to be eligible, and then your actual Leo Power amount determines how much you're getting. So important distinctions there.
I just this has nothing to do with Leo, but I just saw a comment, well, a tweet. And I'm sharing that on the Threadcast. If you guys want to go and engage with that, tweet, this guy said, "What altcoin should I buy? 10,000 ETH or 10,000 in ETH, I think, into the coin with the most engagement in the comments." So this is probably farming, but this is probably real because this guy, I have seen him for a while. He's for real. So I'm gonna share the tweet in the Threadcast. Just go there and engage with that tweet, please, friends.
Yeah, and I keep seeing a few people say that the Threadcast isn't loading. Like I said, refresh, open the page, and I'm seeing a lot of people refreshing it, by the way, which is adding to the problem. This is a node issue where there's too many requests, and it keeps happening because the Threadcasts have been pretty big lately. So we've got like over 300 comments now. If you refresh the page, please refresh it and then just sit and wait on the page. It may take a few minutes, but eventually the comments will start to load. And what's happening is our backend is going there. Like I said, there's 8 different nodes. Our backend is going through each node until it finds you a node that's going to serve you the requests. So like I said, this will get fixed by Leo node, but in the meantime, refresh and just wait, because I see that there's like 800 views on the Threadcast, and that's because you guys are just refreshing. So you're adding to the ad revenue at least, but you aren't going to get the comments by continually refreshing.
Yeah, one thing that needs to be really emphasized on is that remember that we have a lot of revenue models that will set buy walls in the different marketplaces where you can get Leo tokens. So this is me just trying to appease people that might think, oh, if I buy Leo, then the people will sell and we'll go back and I will spend a lot of money. And just remember that as a platform, as a social media platform, we have revenue models, and these revenue models funnel outside capital into the ecosystem, and the buy walls are there, and the buy pressure as well is there. So this is not financial advice, but just take it into account.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I lost Kyle. Oh yeah.
No, I'm here. Just replying to people.
Yeah. So in the meantime, we crossed 160 premium users a couple of days ago.
Get that. So that is how much? 160 times 10, 1,600 a month. So that's $800 a month buying Leo and $800 a month buying Hive, and then $1,600 getting pooled together and deployed as permanent liquidity. So you love to see it. Sometime in 2024, one of my goals, and I'm going to release a long every year. I release a very long post about my vision for Leo and where we're headed. It's something I usually do towards the end of December, as we close out the year, and I start to think about what we're doing next year. And in those posts, I outline a lot of goals that I have for us as a platform. One of them is going to be to reach 1,000 premium subscribers, recurring every month. That's going to be a huge step function change in the way the Leo token economy works. Because, run the math on that. That's $5,000 worth of Leo that's getting bought every month, $5,000 worth of Hive getting bought every month, and $10,000 getting pooled every month. So that's going to create a lot of liquidity. It's also going to create a lot of short-term buy pressure for the Leo token and for Hive. So, my goal is going to be get to 1,000 and then, get to 10,000 one day in terms of recurring subs. And doing that is just enormous. I mean, you really start to frame out the impact that has in the long run. And it's mind boggling to think about, 1,000 and 10,000 subscribers for premium. It has a hugely positive impact on the platform. And, my goal with premium is that you guys sign up and you never want to not have premium, because there's just so many cool features, so much added value. And I know, Eric and I have been working on this post about the Leo.voter curation and how premium users are earning, a lot more earnings than they were before, now that they're premium. And that comes from different forms. So, one of them is when you have that check mark on Leo, everyone on Leo knows that you are supporting the platform, so they're more likely to upvote you. You also get shown more in the feeds, so your content's more viewable. So you're eligible for more upvotes in that form. And then the other thing is with Leo.voter, we are giving a slightly higher curation to people who are premium. So there's a couple different ways that premium users are actually earning more, profile revenue by being premium. So I think it's just a no-brainer even right now with the current feature set. But as we continue to add new features, and I know a lot of you guys are excited about like the AI features and stuff like that, it's just going to become even more obvious that you should be premium, and that it has a very positive impact on your account. So, there's a lot of things in the pipeline. I was just talking to the dev. Since we've been doing all this backend stuff, one thing that we were able to build kind of while we were doing other stuff was the ability to see Leo and Hive value, historical value for every single account. So for example, I would be able to go into a dashboard page that we're building. So like inleo.io/cal/dashboard. I would be able to go into that dashboard and see all these different statistics for my account. This is something that we're building right now. And one of these statistics is going to be, there's going to be two different charts, and you'll be able to go through the history of your Hive account, both for the Leo value and the Hive value. So you'll see, like, let's say I want to see what value my Leo account was in terms of on December 12th, 2022. So last year on this day, I would be able to go back historically and see exactly how much Leo power I had on that day, and also how much it was worth. So I'll be able to do that for Leo power and for Hive power. So that's going to be cool. And just kind of a foreshadowing of all the different statistics that we're planning to release. I'm a huge believer in gamification, and a video game is fun because there's a scoreboard, and we need to continue to improve the scoreboard on INLEO to make the platform more engaging and more fun. A lot of people get a lot of engagement and fun out of X, because they look at their statistics, they look at their impressions, how many comments they're getting, how many likes they're getting. Same goes for Instagram and Facebook. You look at how many likes you get, you look at how many comments you get. So, we're going to continue to make those statistics more ingrained into the INLEO experience, especially because statistics are even more important on INLEO than they are on these Web 2 platforms, because you've got money involved and you've got, branding involved in a way that's not integrated the same on Web 2. So We've got a lot of cool stuff coming on that front, and that is going to be a premium feature. So there's going to be a dashboard for every user, whether you're premium or not. But there's going to be certain statistics like deeper analysis. For example, like this historical price chart of the historical value of your account. That's going to be premium only. And there's a couple reasons for that. One of the reasons is that it's very resource intensive to run that analysis. So we're only allowing premium users to use it. But like I said, premium is just going to keep getting all of these new features that are just tailored towards a more custom experience. You'll be able to see deep analysis of your account. You'll be able to use AI to, help you make threads, help you make posts, help you turn your posts into threads, ask it for help. There's going to be a lot of, and then use it as a search feature to search all the threads ever created. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming for premium in 2024. I'm already excited about how it works now, but I just think it's going to get even better as we move forward. And I've been working on a lot of AI stuff too. So you guys saw, I posted a couple of threads. We're working on Leo AI. And again, this is in the docs and the roadmap. But we've been working on Leo AI, and it's really cool because it indexes all the threads that have ever been created, and it continues to index them in real time as well. So you can ask, it's like ChatGPT, you can ask it questions, and it is trained on the data from threads and from blog posts. So, right now it's only threads, but eventually it will be blog posts as well. And it's trained on all that data. So I can ask it, and I posted a thread. You guys can go search and find it. I posted a thread where I asked it, what is Leo? What is INLEO about? And it gave an awesome response about how INLEO, is about community and the platform. And it gave a insight about what Leo is in a way that, you could search that on Google, you could ask ChatGPT, and you would never get that insight, because it wasn't trained on the data from threads. But because it's trained on the data from threads, it talks about how, there's an international community and there's people from all over the world, and they're using the platform to, help their lives and improve their life. So that, having a specifically trained AI for Leo content is huge. I can't even really explain how awesome it is to ask it questions and see its answers. So, you can ask it things like, what are the latest 5 pieces of feedback that are really bothering the community? And then it'll go through all the threads you guys have ever created with hashtag feedback, and it'll tell me what the 5 most complained about things are. And then I can take that feedback and I can say, okay, these are like the critical things we need to work on because people are complaining about them and they're an issue. So it's going to be cool. And so right now I'm the only one that has access to this Leo AI because, we're doing a lot of tweaks and improving the back end of it, and making sure that, the answers are good and relevant. But eventually, probably sometime in the first 2 quarters of 2024, we're going to release it for premium users on INLEO. So if you're premium, you'll get basically ChatGPT on the INLEO UI, but it's trained on Leo threads, on all the data from threads, and then eventually, like I said, blog posts, and you'll be able to ask it any question, and it'll be trained on all that data. It's going to be really cool. And like I said, premium only. It does cost a lot of resources to ask it questions and stuff like that. So we can't just release it to any user.
Yeah, just to be clear with a couple of things. So the curation stays the same for, well, the curation parameters or metrics stays the same for premium users. So there is no favoritism or favoritism. I don't even know how to pronounce that because we don't use that word. So the curation stays the same. It just means that anyone with premium, instead of getting, I don't know, a 10% vote, would get an 11% vote. But users with premium are not guaranteed to be curated. Users with premium do not get any special attention. It's just the organic attention that they get from the feeds, from the other people, from the other lions saying, oh, this guy is premium, he's helping the platform, or she's doing her part in growing the platform. And the thing that I love about all of these of the premium feature is that it's not like other platforms where this revenue goes to shareholders or to make the company bigger, etc. If you get premium, you're actually helping the Hive and the INLEO ecosystem by saying, okay, here's my $10. Let's provide liquidity to Hive and Leo. That means that at one point, if some Hive whale or some BNB whale wants to come in and buy Leo tokens, they can do it easily, because imagine if we have a $50,000 pool with Hive and Leo. Anyone who wants to buy $5,000 will experience pretty much a 2%, 3% price impact. Whereas if the liquidity pool is not deep enough, getting into Leo is harder, or getting into Hive is harder. So anyone with premium is actually helping the ecosystem be scalable for whales in the future.
100%. Just looking through some of these comments.
I saw self-helpful for trolls and mcoin79. They said, are we going to get a kind of roadmap so we know where things are headed, what updates are soonest? And you were actually mentioning this to me, I think it was yesterday or this morning, about the roadmap.
Yeah, I've been working on the roadmap. I've always had a roadmap internally, and I used to share it. We used to, back in the day, a couple of years ago, have a public roadmap that I would always talk about. And my problem with it is that the vision for Leo and the direction of Leo is kind of always evolving with, I take in a lot of the feedback. Like I said, every time you guys post a thread and use hashtag feedback, I'm literally me physically reading it. And I save a lot of that feedback. And actually now, just in the past couple of weeks, we released the bookmarking feature where you can have bookmarks. And if you're premium, you can have folders for those bookmarks. So I have a folder with hashtag feedback. And whenever I see a good piece of feedback, I save it to that folder. So I'm always kind of running on the feedback that you guys have. So I've talked about how the development of Leo has really evolved over time. And I've really found a nice stride, in my opinion. Maybe you guys can tell me if you agree or not. I've found a nice stride in, I have something called the Dev 100 list, which is the 100 most important things to me currently that I want the devs to work on. And I update that list every month. So there's 100 things on the list. I give it to the devs. I say, here's the 100 most important things. You can pick anything from this list that you want to work on. Bugs obviously get more priority than features. There's two subsets. You got features and then you got bugs. And it's roughly 50-50. So there's like 50 bugs for 50 features, roughly. And the devs can kind of pick from whatever they want to work on from that. And then, they obviously do all their pull requests to update the UI. And then we review them, push them to labs, and then push them to production. But that Dev 100 list is constantly evolving. I'm always like taking stuff off the list. Obviously, we're crossing stuff off the list as it gets fixed or implemented. But that list is constantly evolving. If you want to see what it looks like, I posted it one time, I think back in like October, from the @Leo Finance account. I posted the current Dev 100 list for that month. And if you go and you look at it, a lot of that stuff that was on the list is now implemented. It's either bugs that got fixed or it's features that got released. But there are other pieces of that Dev 100 list that aren't on the current list anymore. They got pushed to the backlog. So I have the Dev 100, and then I have this backlog list, which is honestly probably like 2,000 items long. It's like ridiculous. Like anytime I have an idea for something, I put it in that list. Anytime you guys have feedback and I say, well, this is good feedback for the future, but it's not a priority right now, I add it to that bigger list. And then when I do think it is a priority, I move it to the Dev 100. So that's kind of the process that we've kind of evolved into over time. And then for the docs, and like I said, I've been working on these docs a lot lately. I wanted to have some kind of roadmap in there. But the problem with having a roadmap that is very specific is that I would be literally updating that roadmap every single day with our progress. And we make rapid progress as a team of developers. If you guys look at the UI now, consider that the UI was released on May 1st of this year, and go look at some screenshots of the UI. And I know most of you were here using the UI on May 1st. You know how much we've come, how far we've come in just 6-7 months. So you guys are fully aware of how fast things move around here. And if I were to put very specific things in a roadmap and release it within a month or 2 months, that roadmap is no longer going to be very relevant. So what I've done in the docs is there is a very broad roadmap. So for example, there's a section in the roadmap called Leo AI, and it just very broadly talks about, building an AI engine that is trained on threads and on blog posts, and eventually it will be available for premium subscribers to query with questions. And that is like a segment of the roadmap. And then you've got, other segments, you've got one for premium, and it talks about some of the premium features that we're working on. What else do we have in there? We've got stuff about the, dashboard that I just talked about. It says that there's going to be a user dashboard, and there's going to be some features for regular users, some features for premium users. And there's just, for each section, there's basically one short paragraph that gives an overview of where we're headed for that part of the roadmap. And that's that. It doesn't talk about timelines. It doesn't talk about, specifics. It doesn't show, screenshots of what it's going to look like. It's very high level. And it's meant to just give you an idea of where we're headed. So I like to say that it's like a compass. It tells you the direction that we're going. It's not like an actual map. It doesn't tell you, you're going to cross this street at this time, and then you're going to cross this street at this time. It literally tells you the direction we're headed. And in my opinion, that's much better for a lot of reasons. One of them being that I don't want to sit every single day and update this roadmap with our progress or our changed priorities. I want you guys to have a very high level view of where we're headed from a directional standpoint, as opposed to step by step. So, and I see that Ahmad Manga asked, I think a visual roadmap will be great. I lost a comment. You guys just posted like 30 threads at the same time. I think a visual roadmap, the more detailed, the better, will be great. Though I understand if the direction is always changed, it'll be hard to make one. Yeah. So, like I said, the way it works right now is there's a section and a short paragraph describing the overview of that roadmap item. Maybe we can turn that into some kind of like visual infographic, but like I said, it's not going to be detailed. So it's not, the more detailed, the better, in my opinion, because I can detail things, but then they will change a month later. And then we're going to be spending and wasting time updating roadmap items, in my opinion. So I'd much rather say, sometime in Q1 or Q2 2024, we're going to release Leo AI. And the way it works is that it's trained on threads and blog post data. And if you're premium, you can ask it questions. And that is like the description of Leo AI. I'm not talking about, the infrastructure of how it's built. I'm not talking about a specific date's coming out. I'm not talking about, what kind of questions you could ask it. I'm not giving you examples. I'm just telling you, here's what it is from a broad perspective. And that's the direction we're headed. I did kind of steal this a little bit from Thorchain. They have a roadmap, but their roadmap is literally like, they give you 5 huge items that they're working on. So like right now, for example, they're working on order books, and they're working on perps trading. So basically futures on their decks. And they've just literally got like 5 bullet points of the things that they're working on over the next year. And that's it. There's no more data. There's no more information. There's no screenshots of what it's going to look like. The community comes up with a lot of information, and they share that information, and you guys are more than welcome to do that. But the team itself releases just a huge bird's eye perspective of what they're doing. And that is what my goal is. Give you guys the big high level roadmap, and you guys can go into detail and describe it to people, or, talk amongst yourselves about what it could look like. You can even use the hashtag feedback tag when you talk about the roadmap. I'll see those threads. And then I'll take that into consideration as we kind of build those things and move forward.
There you go. So there's going to be a roadmap with very bird's eye perception, and I do get it because in the end, the plans that we had a year ago have changed as the community grows and as the community asks for features and as we see the market move and the meta move. Of course, we need to adapt. That doesn't mean that we'll change the end goal, but the road is what will change. And of course, for example, if we experience scalability issues, it doesn't matter that we promised, I don't know, better AI by March. If by February we have scalability issues, we will pivot and focus on scalability until that's done. So I do like the idea that some people said about having some kind of visuals. People love visuals, so yeah, and that maybe that video that you mentioned would be cool, like just a 15-minute, 15-second video with where we're headed might be might be a good thing to add. Um, Esme Smith is asking, are you guys planning on integrating Wallet Connect or immutable authentication to INLEO? Maybe I think the first step would be to add MetaMask, right, Carl?
Yeah, if you go back, actually, I want to say it was November 2021 era. We added MetaMask to the light account protocol. It was an option. You could use your MetaMask to create a Hive light account through Leo. And we ran into some issues with that, and then we decided to scale that back and then work on the Google and X integrations and kind of focus on those first. But I do think, and MetaMask has kind of changed over time. I don't think there's as many people using MetaMask as they used to. But I have actually, and I've teased this a little bit, but we're working on another project that's kind of secretly under wraps. I stole a dev away from Google. He was in a very cushy Google job, and I offered him a job working on something for me. And it's related to a lot of the stuff that we're building for Leo from more of a DEX / DeFi perspective. So he's quietly working on that in the background, and hopefully we'll have something to announce next year. But one of the things that we've been working on is wallet integrations, which includes using Wallet Connect. And there is kind of this open source protocol that we're tapping into that will allow us. And if you guys have ever used Thorchain, you'll notice that they have support for so many different wallets. So I've learned a lot about how all this stuff works. And I think it's very likely that at some point next year, we'll integrate all these different wallets, this open source protocol for handling wallets, and will allow you to create a Leo infra light account using a lot of, we're talking probably 100 different wallets like XDeFi, MetaMask, Brave Wallet, like a bunch of these big wallets. You'll be able to use any of them to create a light account. So it will include MetaMask as well. So I'm pretty excited about that. But like I said, that's going to come later. What I'm focused on right now related to the light accounts is getting the process smooth and making sure that people can sign up without issues. And, maybe we can get into this a little bit, Eric, but we just onboarded 2 ambassadors on X to help us promote, and we're sponsoring their spaces. And, a part of that is that they're referring in new users and getting paid for those referrals. But one of the biggest complaints that we've seen is that sometimes the light account protocol doesn't work the way that it's supposed to. Sometimes it takes a while to get the account created, or it's not super straightforward on how it all works and how to log in and step by step. So we've been hammering out that process and making it better. You guys also saw that, I think it was about 3 to 5 weeks ago, we finally released the wallet claim. If you're a light account and you want to go to a full account, now we have this super cool process. And if you haven't tried it yet, I would recommend sign up for a light account and just give it a shot and see how we built this thing. I'm really proud of how it all turned out. You go through a very step-by-step process. It explains to you what all your keys are, and then it changes your keys and downloads the new keys so that there are no remnants of the key file for you for your Hive account on our servers. So the remnants are all gone. You have a new set of keys, and only you have those keys after you do the claim. So we've made a lot of progress, both front end and back end on a lot of these things. And like I said, for Leo Infra, the next couple of weeks are going to be very heavily focused on improving the user experience, making it better, making sure that it works flawlessly. We don't want people coming in from X trying to sign up for Leo and Hive and having issues. We want them to just be, one click onboarded. That's always been our goal. So really, we're really focused on that right now. And then, things like MetaMask and Wallet Connect and others will get integrated later.
Yeah, I do think that having EVM interoperability is going to be pretty huge for INLEO. Like we already have Twitter, which is X, which is huge because it allows us to tap into all of these crypto Twitter community. But there are also a lot of people who just don't use Web2 at all, but they have a MetaMask wallet or an EVM wallet. So yeah, it's all coming together. One moon.
100%, 100%.
Trying to find some questions in the threadcast. I'm actually browsing the blockchain now because there's like 300 replies,
Yeah,
even more.
I think there's even more. It just hasn't updated. Oh, by the way, obviously Leo Node is going to fix a lot of the issues that we're all seeing in the Threadcast right now, but we do have a big Threadcast update coming out, which is going to be for the Threadcast scheduler. So you'll be able to schedule your Threadcasts, and then they'll go on the homepage. And the design for it has actually changed a little bit. I think it'll probably be out before the next AMA, if I had to guess. But the design has changed pretty significantly. So we were originally going to have, like, on the bottom right of the UI, there was going to be like a calendar that said, upcoming space and stuff. We still might have that too. But the new design is actually, it looks a lot more like Instagram stories, if you're familiar with that, or Snapchat stories even. And basically what it is when there's an active Threadcast going on, or if a user that you follow is active in a Threadcast, it'll show it on the homepage. It'll show their little circle profile icon with like a ring, like a lit up ring around it. And if you click on it, it will take you into the Threadcast immediately. And then you can just jump into the conversation and start engaging. So the design of it looks like Instagram stories. And you can Google that if you're not familiar with it. But it shows you the active Threadcast. Click on it and it takes you into the Threadcast. And it shows them to you based on who you're following, and who's live on a Threadcast. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think it'll spur a lot more activity in Threadcasts. I think Threadcast might be one of our killer features to get new users and onboard people. The live interaction of it is very cool. I actually texted Eric last night, like super late, but I was listening to a Tim Ferriss podcast, and they just randomly talked about this idea for what if you could listen to an audiobook with other people and listen at the same time, so it like all synced up. And then there was like a chat room, like a text-based chat room where you could talk to each other about like, oh, this was a cool part, or I liked, how they talked about, X, Y, and Z. And you could type in real time and see other people typing in real time as you all listen to the same audiobook. So they were talking about this, and I was just like, this is literally like what a Threadcast is. All we'd have to do is add the ability for like an audio to play in the Threadcast and for it to sync up for everybody at the exact same time. So you could imagine like maybe, a bunch of people are like Joe Rogan fans, and, someone from the community hosts a Joe Rogan viewing party, once a week or once a month. And you listen to a Joe Rogan podcast live together, synced up at the same time. And then there's a Threadcast where you guys can chat while it's live. And you guys can chat about what you're hearing, what you like, what you don't like. So I could see a lot of different stuff like that happening. And I would like to see more Threadcasts for things like movies, live sporting events. I know a lot of you guys are already doing that with live events. So, I do want to work more on embedding for Threadcast. So you could say embed like you know, embed like an NFL stream into the Threadcast. You know, you like copy the embed link, put it in there, and then it's embedded. And then maybe we can have like a sync, you know, maybe. And if you've used like something like YouTube TV, for example, you can choose to like watch live, or you can watch it from the beginning. So maybe we have something like that where you can watch from the beginning, or you can watch live and sync up with everybody else in the Threadcast so that you're live at the same exact moment as everybody else. So there's a lot of, and like I said, a lot of these are on the roadmap already. There's a lot of cool ideas that I have for making Threadcasts more engaging and better. And, you know, these Threadcasts generate a ton of ad revenue. They generate a ton of engagement. I personally think they're super fun. You know, I think they make these AMAs look a lot more engaging. You guys used to just comment on Discord, if you remember. And now you're actually using Hive to comment. Just think about how crazy that is in just a, you know, 5-6 month period of time, how much that's changed. So I'm excited for the future of Threadcasts, long story short.
Yeah, one of the things that are like right now we use Threadcasts only for events or live streams that we are involved in or that we are watching directly. For example, this AMA or the influencer spaces. But at one point, if we have a big enough user base, we could just stream the Super Bowl and get, I don't know, 500 users watching it from INLEO and commenting on the event, etc. So there's a lot that we can do with Threadcast, not just live events that we're involved with. I mean, maybe not the Super
100%.
Bowl because we would get a ton of attacks for that. Like, you know, you have to buy it, and then there's a
Yeah.
whole. But like normal games or something, I don't know. It's very
Yeah, well, and there's ways to do it. You know, if you find the stream on YouTube and it's a legitimate stream, you can embed it in the Threadcast, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, so it's only if you start to like pirate stuff. And like I said, you know, we have ways of moderating that. So, you know, obviously don't pirate live streams and make them into Threadcasts. But if you find a live stream of a, you know, an international football game, and you embed it, and it's from YouTube, and then you embed it on a Threadcast, and then you can listen to it live with everybody else and chat about it. Nothing wrong with that. I could even see us releasing something like allowing people to bet on things using Leo. I mean, there's infinite possibilities for Threadcasts, in my opinion. There's so many directions we can take it. I'm very excited. I'm really happy with how Threadcasts work now. Obviously, today is not a great example, but you know, when Leo Node comes out, they'll be even smoother and more scalable. But I'm very excited for what we can do with live threading. I think it adds so much engagement to the platform. You know, even X, they don't have anything like this. You know, I know that they are trying to do it though. So I think we're in the right place. I think we're knocking on the right door. We just need to knock harder.
Yeah, due to the decentralized layer that we're running, it's so much easier to do things without, like, I imagine X gets a lot of requests from three-letter agencies and all of that, where we're gonna just say, dude, talk to the witnesses.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, INLEO, technically, when you make something on INLEO, you don't make it, not INLEO is not holding that data anywhere. We just relay it to the blockchain, and then we read it back from the blockchain. So if you have a problem with the data being relayed, you gotta look at the blockchain. We're not the only UI showing it. We're just a interface for something. So
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And we've been going for an hour and a half. I'm trying to browse some comments, but I don't see more questions. Guys, I love your comments. There are so many, so much bullishness around. If you have a question, remember to put a question mark or write question in bold or something so we can see them.
Esme Smith said, I think you can delay the video posting launch because nodes are acting up and you have a lot to cover on the UI. Yeah, we are still working on Leo videos and Leo shorts. So there's two where you'll be able to upload long form videos, and then also you'll be able to upload shorts to the UI. We are still working on those, but yeah, I mean, like you said, you know, the back end issues have really taken a front seat, ironically, in our development focus. So we are very focused right now on usability, scalability, Leo node. Like I said, we just released Leo images. We've been working on that for a few weeks. So that's where our focus is right now, is on usability and, you know, the back end. But once those things are hammered out, we'll be right back onto the front end features and releasing new stuff. Like I said, I mean, there's multiple devs. So that all being said, we still have devs working on front end stuff. So the Threadcast module that I just talked about is probably going to go live before the next AMA, even though we're still working and focused on the back end. So it's nice to have a big team where we can work on multiple things at the same time. Tasser just said there's over 2,400 music on Leo songs. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you could even think about like maybe there's some way to use music on Leo and then do a live Threadcast where you guys listen to like a playlist all together and you chat about it. You know, what's your favorite song? You know, what are you hearing that you like? What are you hearing that you don't like? There's so many use cases for Threadcasts, and I've said this multiple times as my kind of top level vision for INLEO and all the things that we're building. I want to build the tools for you guys to then go out and use however you feel that is best to use them. And the goal is you guys create engagement, you engage with each other, you have a good time, you earn some Leo tokens, and simultaneously you are building attention. And this is INLEO is an attention economy. And like I said, again, I've been working on these docs a lot, and it talks a lot about the attention economy that we're building. As long as there's attention on the platform, there's engagement on the platform, the Leo token is absorbing value from that attention. So by you guys doing music on Leo, or you know, Threadcasts, or you're doing you know, the database for you know, all sorts of terms for Leo glossary, you're making posts, you're making threads, all this stuff. Anything you do on the platform is meant so that you both have fun, you get rewarded, and ultimately it drives attention for the platform, and the platform is built to absorb that attention and drive value into the Leo token economy from it. So it's built in a very circular way where you guys get to do what you want, you get to have fun, you build relationships, earn some Leo, and then that Leo gets more valuable as there's more attention generated from it. And then obviously you got things like Leo Premium, you've got only Leos, which is Leo subscriptions, so many things that we can do. And we're just kind of heating up. Like this platform, like I said, you know, we started May 1st of this year, technically, in terms of what we have today, in terms of INLEO. That all started on May 1st, essentially. And look at how far we've come since then. So imagining now, you know, and we're about to hit 2024, try to imagine the end of 2024, you know, where are we going to be at? I'm personally extremely excited about what we're building here. And I know, you know, the altcoin market has been really terrible and we're all feeling the pain from it, but we've made a lot of awesome progress on this UI and this community. So we'll just keep pushing forward.
I'm so proud of this community.
Yeah, me too. 100%. But yeah, I mean, I think we're good on questions. I haven't really seen any.
Yeah, me neither.
So.
Wow, this guys, remember tomorrow we have Chain Chatter. We have 3 founders. So we need you there. We need you in the space because we want to do this every week. So the more listeners we have and the more viewers we have, etc., it will be easier to bring in more founders, and it will be easier to tell them, hey, look, so we have 1,000 listeners on the last week's space, so you should come to the next one. And slowly we can keep getting more founders, maybe bigger projects, maybe bigger companies. Maybe at one point we'll get Elon Musk to come to our space and tell him why is he plagiarizing all of our features.
Yep. We'll have to ask him. One day we'll get him on a Threadcast and we'll ask him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all we got. We just want to wrap up here. Like I said, I'm going to be working on some of these issues after we jump off this call. And we'll get them hammered out.
Yes.
But yeah, I think we're good. I think Eric's got to run. I got to run, figure this stuff out. Thanks everybody for joining. Don't forget, again, LPUD in 3 days. It's going to be the biggest LPUD of the year, obviously the last. And if you power up 50 or 150 Leo, you get the normal rewards pool, and then there's a whole new rewards pool if you power up 15% or more of your Leo Power stake. So look out for some posts about that. I'm sure we'll have a bunch from at Leo Growth and at Leo Finance about them. Eric, you got any closing words?
Yes, don't forget to power up. Let's you know what? It's 2023 has been a very, very ups and downs year. So let's just close the year as bullish as we can as a community. And you know what? I'm gonna power up. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get 15% of my stake, but at least I'm gonna power up 10,000 Leo. So that's it. That's from my side.
Nice.
I hope you guys in the community do the same.
I'm gonna try for 15%.
Wow.
I think for me that'd be like 150,000 Leo or close to it. So we'll see if I can buy that much before the price moons.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah,
cool.
that's it from me.
All right, thanks Eric. Thanks everybody for coming. We'll see you tomorrow for Chain Chatter, noon Eastern, same time, same place. Peace out.
See you guys.